Are you a fan of microfighters? I'm a fan of microfighters. You know who else is a fan of microfighters? Scott, from Journal of the Scots. So check out Microfighter Mondays and the rest of his content, or journal entries, showing off his collection. This was not a paid advertisement for the Cali Brick Clique, but it was an imitation of Shy's Brickheads video.
Where you could just like buy a piece and call it.
In 5, 4.
Welcome back to Cali Brick Clique. We are here for episode 37 on this glorious Labor Day weekend. That's when we're recording. You guys will see it the following Friday. But I'm here with my buddies, SHYtimeisMytime,
Yo.
Ninja,
Yeah.
and our new friend, Brikx O'Brien, who I got the pleasure of meeting at Brick Fair, Virginia quite recently. Anyway, so before we get into it though, really quick, you can find all of our podcasts, all of our recorded audio, voice talking things on any platform where you can hear podcasts. So Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all that fun stuff. So definitely go and check us out. We have, like I said, 36 other episodes where you can hear us banter with other friends. Anyway,
Can we take a second to appreciate the voice talky things? I
the
like
voice
that.
talky thing? What do you mean the
Yeah.
voice? Oh, what I said? Yeah.
Yeah. I just like that. That was nice.
I was like, what's another word for podcast?
Voice talking.
Mhm.
New one.
And today I'm like eating some baguette, so you'll get some.
I mean,
nice,
when are you not eating on an
never.
episode or not like building? You're always doing
On
something
brand.
other than just sitting here.
I know what
I
it's
can't-
like to be eating all the time. I appreciate the hustle.
It's
Nice.
important. It's
Multitasking.
important. It's part of my brand. But
There you go.
but today we wanted to get Brian on and chat about some fun stuff. I have been streaming on Twitch all the time and loving it and growing that side of things. And Brian's been on there for quite a while now, and doing, like, the best way to say is like multi-platform streaming. Anyway, so we're going to get into that. We're going to talk about a lot of other stuff, but let's talk about some Lego news and how you guys have been doing.
Yeah. But before we get into that, can I just say, Brian, I like your voice too. It's very like podcasty, not to be creepy or anything, but it rivals Ninja's like podcasty voice, you know? So you have
Well-
a very distinctive sound that is very noticeable. and
I've been
appreciated.
told I have the face for radio, and that maintains. I got to focus on the voice even more so.
Right.
I attribute it mostly to being the microphone, though. It makes me sound a certain way, lower the octave a little bit. You know, if you meet me
This
in
is
real
true.
life, and it's a little higher, a little bit. But Claire can attribute,
Yeah,
I
it is.
think
It is
sounds
the mic.
exactly
Yeah.
like it. Yeah, the mic sounds great though. We were all like
Thank you.
having like mic insecurity before you got on. So yeah.
It's all,
Yeah, we're like,
hey,
okay, Brian's gonna be on here. We all have to sound good. Ninja, you need to up yours
Yeah.
like tenfold.
We were like testing all our audio beforehand. Oh my god. But okay, so fun stuff. So I did notice that the Bricklink designer program stuff for round 2 was up. And let's see, now there's like the windmill.
What?
There's like actually a bunch of buildings that are up.
Oh, thank God. Wait,
Yeah.
wait, are they all up? Because I wanted the windmill, I wanted the observatory, and if they're both on at the same time, I'm gonna be really upset.
There's a lot of stuff I think you're gonna want at the same time. Do you want to like? Do you want me to? I can try to pull it up.
Yeah, can you?
I have it pulled up right here. The windmill is a part of this. The observatory is not, but the
Oh, thank
retro
God.
bowling alley is. The studios is the ruined house. So yeah, Lego
Mhm.
store.
And when are these supposed to be released?
This year?
June? No, well, this year?
No, I mean
Well,
like you
I
buy
know
it,
we
you
can
pre-order
buy it
this
this
year.
year. But
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Late
last round-
2021.
May 2021? Okay, cool.
Late
So I can
2021.
No.
You guys see the quote? Yeah.
Oh,
air
okay,
quotes.
late 2021. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
So that means I can buy all of them, not be charged for it until then. That's what I'm saying.
No,
Because
I
Lego
don't
doesn't
know.
charge you.
You buy it now, like
Allegedly.
in late 2021, and you'll get it probably in late 2022. I would get like things.
Well, yeah, but it doesn't actually hit your bank account until it actually gets sent out, because that's what happened last time. Like with all Lego product, like when they don't charge your, they'll get a hold for it, or at least
Right.
get a notification to your bank, but they won't actually go through your funds until it's actually shipped out, which was pretty cool about this one, or the past round, unlike last Bricklink crowdfunding where you actually have to cough up the funds before they actually took your order
No,
in.
it's definitely good, but
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Shy. It's not like there's gonna still be other Lego that you're gonna want to buy in a year from now, and it's
That's
still gonna be.
That's a future Shy problem. I can
Got
deal
it,
with
got it. I was gonna say, I was like, the problem will still be there. You're still gonna like be like wanting to buy like Brickmania, all the fun
Of course.
stuff. So it's like, okay, got it.
But I don't have
And
to think
then-
about it right now. Like I still have like a year to be like, you know what? I'm not gonna do it.
I'm amazed with these projects. Even looking at them now, you're going to be able to buy them in late 2021. Some of these were last updated in April. There's no updates to some of these projects in that amount of time. Like, well, how much can they change? And if we're so close to the crowdfunding point, like where's it all at? You know?
True.
That's a good question.
I have no idea, but I'm excited.
Which ones are y'all getting?
They have that like seasonal calendar thing that you wanted to.
Yep, that's what I want.
Ooh,
Yeah.
That one's on there. I'm most excited for that one.
I'm
I
probably
really-
gonna go for the buildings. Like the windmill is probably the most exciting.
I like the studios. I like that it's a
Mhm.
film set, a Western film set. It's pretty cool. I really hope there's minifigures in that one. They haven't added them, but I don't want to shell out another $100 for figures to populate the whole thing, you know?
Don't you think that I agree? Don't you think that the other Bricklink designer program, like old saloon or whatever, looks a lot like it?
Yeah,
it looks just
it does, except that one was a corner unit. And yeah, saloons are going to look pretty similar. And I think having the studio bits to it and the collapsible features and whatnot, that adds enough to it to make it distinct. And that kind of scratches the itch of Lego Studio from the early 2000s in a way, you know? So that's why I'm still, as someone who got the last saloon, I'm still interested in getting this.
Okay, because I have that last saloon, and I'm probably still gonna get this one because it looks so cool.
Yeah.
And yeah, like you said, just like the throwback to old studios themes and stuff. So.
And it opens up a lot more. It's a lot more playable overall.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the other one is just like
It's a
small
building.
modular. Yeah, it's just a building. Yeah.
With this ruined house, though, I could so use with
Right?
my
You could-
military stuff. Like it's just, it's perfect.
It's perfect
do
to
you-
put like a tank right in front of it.
Yeah.
Do you think enough military people are going to purchase that to qualify it?
No,
Nah.
no. I
That's
don't think so.
always the factor right there.
Yeah. So, what do you guys think is gonna pass
The windmill.
for sure?
And the calendar for sure, 100%.
I think
yeah,
the calendar for
calendar.
sure.
The science adventure one might be a small enough price point that people get it quickly, but I don't know.
Oh, yeah, that's right. It is a affordable price point. The bowling alley looks pretty cool too. I think a lot
It
of city
does.
people might like this. Unfortunately for me, I can't fit this in my city. It takes up 2 base plates. Like it's pretty massive.
It's
and
huge.
It's flat.
Yeah.
And it's
And
flat. It's like doesn't have any depth to it.
There's a lot of people who are very passionate about like D&D, so that quest builder one, that I could see that getting through pretty quickly.
Oh yeah. That's
Yeah,
actually
that
pretty cool.
that one's cool. Like conceptually, I think it's really cool. But I don't.
There
know.
isn't really one here that I'm seeing that is a glaring, this will absolutely not make it. All of these seem pretty
They
solid.
look good. They
Pretty
look
positive.
better than I feel like round one almost. Do you know what I mean? They're like
Mhm.
they're a bit stronger. Like the particle accelerator conceptually is really cool, but I'm like, I bet you half these people don't even know what a particle accelerator is.
Yep.
We're like, I'm not to totally. I wouldn't know one if I didn't grow up near one. I guess.
Right.
How about that?
I
Okay.
didn't know that this Lego store though. Sorry to get
No,
back
no.
at it, but I didn't know that this Lego store had a backstock
Yeah.
until like right now.
What do you mean?
Oh, that isn't. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you look at the Lego store one,
Yeah.
behind it there's a backstock area for the employees and stuff.
That's cute.
So I did not know that, and now just because of that,
Now you want that
I
one?
want it. Just because of that, like extra 6 by I would say 24 studs. Not even
And
like I want it.
It's a
That
cute
fish
one.
tank is way better than the creator set.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I think
I like I was in love with the fish tank when I saw, I think it was a starfish or something spun along with the fish as they're moving, or as a crab or something.
Oh, really?
It-
Oh, that's-
yeah, like
yeah.
there's a lot more movement in that than you might
That's
think just by looking
cool.
at it. It's really cool.
Do you feel like the way that the way that it's like advertised or whatever doesn't do it any justice or service, especially if there's movement or animation? Because like the Bricklink website is so
hard.
stunted.
I think where it really falls short is in that carousel of images at the top. They don't include a video as an option at all, let alone to be the first one, because
Mhm.
projects like this, the waterfall, that'll probably be in the next round, a couple of them, If you can't, like, people in the public are generally not going to scroll all the way down to look at the full listing. They need that initial like catch. The video would have been super helpful, or a GIF to autoplay or something.
Especially if they don't understand also, like they just see the parts in the back and they don't know that means it moves. You know, we as Lego fans were like, oh, those are mechanics to make it move. So we understand that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna get 3 of these.
How many like non-Lego fans though do you think goes to Brick Link?
Yeah, that's true. Maybe
Not
I didn't think that.
No.
You know
I mean,
what
there's a lot of Lego fans that don't know what Brikx Clique is,
That's true. That's really true.
or let alone comfortable using it for anything.
There's one of these things you can insert into the tank, and it's a pirate themed one where the wheel spins and the arm on the skeleton moves up, the chest. Like, there's so much going on. It's so
okay.
cool.
Yeah.
How much do you think that one's going to cost?
Well, I was shocked at the relatively lower price point they went for with all of the last wave. Like, I thought that castle was going to be $250 easy.
Yeah, me too.
Oh, yeah,
It
same
was
here.
so much cheaper than last time.
Yeah,
So for the Clockwork Aquarium, I would say 50, 60.
I think a little higher.
Really?
It looks like a lot of parts in there.
544 total parts, 166 unique parts.
Oh, okay. So maybe, yeah.
And free shipping.
Oh yeah, that's right.
There it
free
is.
shipping.
It's sold.
Do you think any of these are going to sell out, like reach 10,000 quickly, like the castle did?
I think the windmill will.
The
Yeah.
windmill. So you can't sleep on it for this one at least.
I mean, if you're diehard for this program, you're not going to sleep on any of them, because even when they relaunched it, like when they reopened it, it's still a lot of them sold out like nothing.
Yeah, that's true.
Mm-hmm.
And now people know, so even more people are going to be right on the gun right when it opens.
That's true.
That was so crazy the first time. I got
know.
everything I wanted the first round, so I didn't even go and look like round 2 when it reopened. Did any of you guys go back for the second round?
No, I just got all I really wanted was a castle. I was contemplating with the boat. I was telling myself that if it comes back, I'll do the boat, but I still didn't get the boat. I figured I really wanted the observatory, because that was on the first one, or I thought it was, and then they moved it to another round. I already knew at the very beginning of this whole thing, I already knew I was going to get the castle, I was going to get the calendar, and the windmill. So those were my 3 must-haves. As far as anything else, I don't even remember what's left aside from
the observatory, the waterfall.
Okay, and then what's the rest?
I don't know.
Isn't there a train station? I thought there was a train.
Oh, the train station.
Yeah.
Was it?
That was
Yeah.
massive.
That one's enormous. That's like
That might be like a $300 one,
or more.
maybe.
It's gonna be huge.
I mean, yeah. I regret not getting the Lowenstein Castle now. I definitely do from the last one, because that thing is pretty pricey.
I'm waiting for whenever they do the Anana Mini.
Yeah.
Oh, that's the next one.
I
right?
thought that one was taken off.
Yeah, I don't know,
Was
because
it?
there's
I don't
pictures
think
with it in there. And
I saw an
Yeah,
article
modules
somewhere
were-
saying that it's not going to be included anymore. It's like been
Oh no.
Yeah.
I guess we'll find out. And when's that date?
I have no idea.
I'm assuming 2 months from now, just like from here from last.
Yeah.
So in that round, we're not going to see anything till like 2023.
Probably. But
Hey.
our buddy, speaking of
just-
things, go for it, Brian.
Yeah, so the Anatomini was the project was archived.
What?
Yeah.
No.
Due to the complexity of revising the model for the program, we're sorry to withdraw the project. We hope that we'll be able to work with the designer in the future again, which means it's never going to happen.
Oh my God. How many times? What, 4 times now?
So left in the next one is a Space Trooper one, the 50s diner, train station, the waterfall, exploratorium, the Venetian houses, which I'm still like, the
How's that gonna
construction
happen?
site, winter chalet, and then your observatory shy.
Nice.
So lots of buildings in the next one too.
I'm excited. I love all the buildings.
Lots of buildings and a waterfall.
Future shy problem.
And a waterfall.
Future shy
I
problem.
like that.
Just to say future shy problem
Yeah,
over and over
future shy
again. Oh
problem.
my God.
Yeah, I'm just saying.
Well, I was going to say, speaking of shy problems, someone has been immortalized in a Brickmania figure.
Yes.
And my cat also wants to buy it. But Shy is now. Do you want to tell us a little bit about it, since you know a little? I knew it was coming, by the way. Lando told me at
Oh, thanks for telling me.
No, I
Dang.
wasn't gonna tell you. No way. He
Nice.
just like whispered. He's like, "We're trying," and I was like, "Oh my god, oh my god!" So I got really excited. But
Way to keep a secret.
yeah, of course I was gonna keep that secret. It's so
All right.
much fun.
All right, so the M777 Howitzer and MTVR 7-ton truck is a new release from Brickmania that just came out this past Friday. And I already knew that this set was coming out just because I was helping the designer get a little bit more in-depth specs about the gun, because both vehicles are still currently used today, and the M777, a lot of it is secret. It's not top secret, it's at the level below. So there are no images of internals with this thing that you can find on Google. So fortunately for me, I have some of those images, but I was at the point where I'm like, I never took a picture of that. Well, one, because I wasn't supposed to. So I had to reach out to some of my friends who are currently still in and have power now to see if they could find me some of that stuff. So I was kind of working with George to be as accurate as possible for the gun. And then Brickmania and George himself wanted to make the M777 and MTVR, and to include with Brickmania, represent my that's my phone. Represent my unit that went to Afghanistan. So November Battery 514, which is codenamed Nacho Battery, because most of us were Hispanic. That's literally the reason why we call ourselves Nacho, and that's how we immortalize ourselves throughout our history books. So hey, we were the first Marine guns to take on the Taliban in Afghanistan.
Is it do you see me trying to share the screen right there?
Oh, yeah.
Is it that one?
Well, that being said, I didn't know this was happening, but they decided to create me in a minifigure form in my armor. So I didn't know this was happening. I woke up to like a bunch of DMs saying, "Hey, it's you." I'm like, what? So then I look at them, I'm like, oh, they have my 5 o'clock shadow of my mustache and my goatee, and they have my exact setup on how my armor is with the way the magazines are located. I have the bandolier like right there on the chest. Like that's my setup, and they're wearing frog gear as opposed to their current Marines that they use for their company. They don't use frog gear. They just wear the normal blouse and trousers with like one of those big flags. I'm wearing a sap plate carrier and I'm wearing frog gear. So this is me. And then Lando confirmed it. I was like, oh, that's cool. So with that,
Immortalized.
Sam really wants this without buying the set. So I would recommend anybody who wants this pester Brickmania for it, so that way they can make this in mass quantity without getting the set, because it is a pricey one. It's like $4 something. So it's $475. Yeah, $475. It's not cheap. Oh, there it is. It's on the screen. Yeah, I didn't think about that. So that's not attainable for most people, especially for my friends. So either way, I'm happy about it. I have one in pre-order, and there's only 5 left. And I think they've continuously kept adding more to their batch of 50. So it's going to be a good one. And yeah, I'm happy. That made my day. That literally made my day after like weeks worth of like doubting myself. Like this literally brought me back to like reality of confirming that what I did in Afghanistan is what we did, and I should be proud of what we did. And what happened at the end had nothing to do with the military. It was all politics, and I should be proud of what I've accomplished. So that it definitely helped me out.
100%.
100%. Yeah. Thanks for that spotlight, Claire.
Yeah, no worries. I was thinking that we should talk about it because it's really special, and it was definitely good timing, especially after last week where we were talking about Afghanistan and stuff, and now this is like a nice closer to it all. But and then I don't even know how I would transition away from that, because it's like so nice, and it's it's emotional and it's historical in every which way. But speaking of emotional and historical,
there you go. Nice.
I am on to. No, I'm kidding. I'm not going to talk about myself for emotional.
Where's the segue going to go?
I don't know.
I'm curious. I don't know.
No, so Brickmania is like very much like an adult focused,
nice
third party Lego company, right? And even though I have seen on YouTube, like there are a lot of kids that like it, and when I was in Brickmania at the store, there were a lot of kids that came in there. So, which was surprising to me. Like, there are kids that do find like military history really interesting and stuff. So, regardless, it is definitely an adult focused thing. However, there is obviously a massive market of kids looking for Lego content on the internet. And do you like my transition? I'm
Nice.
Right. Yeah.
That was a good
Again,
one.
there. Yep.
Okay, cool. And then Brian is, one of our friends that does that very kids focused. This is like your independent content, like the stuff that you do solo is for kids primarily. Like I've seen you kind of make jokes and stuff about how like moms of kids like really appreciate your content because they can still enjoy it, but it's still family friendly. I think like on Beyond the Brick and stuff, you'll kind of joke about that. But yeah, tell us a little bit more about that, how you got to that point, what made you make that decision. Did you always start kind of directing your content that way when you got on YouTube, and like what were the steps that got you there?
All right, so we don't have an hour and a half to do the whole dissertation on the long history of Brian Saviano, but the way that it kind of unfolded was kind of sort of on accident, kind of sort of intentional. When I was first doing Lego content back in 2000, I mean, when I was first starting, when I was in middle school, going through high school in the beginning, you're a high schooler. Not everything is going to be the most like, wholesome and what, you go through that phase. And then as I learned that I wanted to do this more professionally, as I say, professional, but I want to do this as a thing. And I knew that me being the way that I was with how I was delivering myself, I didn't need to be that way to get my point across and to articulate my thoughts in that way. I don't need to swear up a storm. I don't need to add in derogatory terms or whatever to make my point. So that's how I kind of pivoted to being family friendly. And at the time in YouTube, everybody was getting hit time and time and time and time again because, you said this particular thing. And even though it's humor, which is totally valid, and that sort of raunchy humor, absolutely valid, people are getting demonetized. People are not gravitating toward that, the advertisers and whatever. And I'm like, you know what? I take on the challenge to say my points as I want to without needing to go to that extreme and refine my craft to get better at speaking and delivering my information and whatever. So that's where I kind of stand with that. And I know that, you said a couple of times, Claire, that, yeah, my content is directed towards kids, and that's kind of true, and that's kind of not true, because my delivery is still just like this in my videos, whether I'm playing Minecraft or whatever it is. I'm talking to the audience as if they were regular people. Sometimes it may be an 8-year-old, it might be a 60-year-old, and the spectrum really is across the whole board, and it's all encompassing. The level of humor that I go with is kind of in the same vein as like a late night TV show, where I'm not going to swear. You would bleep me if I did, but I'm gonna go and kind of gravitate that way, so that way the parents, if the kids are watching, aren't going to get totally thrown off by obnoxious voices and screaming and yelling and flashing lights.
Absolutely.
So
I guess that's the nuanced difference. And, apologies for saying kids content, because it is very different from family friendly content.
Yes.
Kids content is speaking at a different tone, usually higher pitched. Visual. Yeah, exactly. It's very different.
The thing with that kid directed content, it usually goes one of two ways. One, there's a kid already in that, which it's usually a parent directing their child, and then YouTube is like, what about the labor laws and the blah, blah, blah? Because a lot of those creators take off, like Ryan's Toy World. It's a whole massive, like, it makes every Lego YouTube channel look like peanuts compared to what a channel like that can do.
Right.
And then there's also the other extreme, which is all the adults are catering their content to kids. Ergo, Elsa and Spider-Man are playing along together and doing some weird things that are like, what is going on here? That kids are looking at it like, yay, it's Spider-Man and Elsa. But the parents tune in, they're like, what is my kid watching? And then they don't want the kids watching that. So where I find myself is, I'm playing Minecraft, but then I'm talking about this awful fast food story that I had because I just talk about my life in my videos or the live streams or whatever. How many kids have watched, and families have watched my Mario Odyssey playthrough, where I talk for an entire 45 minutes about my experience getting a hair in my burger at Wendy's. Like, it's just random stuff like that.
Yeah.
And that's real life stuff.
It's real life stuff. And it's not me, Kate. Like, I wasn't thinking, man, kids really need to value this information. It's just what I do.
Do you think
Right.
like, so I really like the way that you articulated, you took on the challenge and almost the intellectual exercise of eliminating profanity from your lexicon.
Yeah.
And
Publicly.
Publicly.
In
Okay, got
videos and streams and whatnot.
okay.
I'm a 25-year-old guy from Boston. So
Hey, it happens,
when
yeah.
I park the car in the anyways.
No, yeah, I mean, obviously, like, and I was gonna say, like, you do transition over, to you still do content for Beyond the Brick, I assume, right? And that's still going on, even though
Yep.
like the quarantine cast is not the same, or still that's over, right? And then,
Yep.
but do you find yourself shifting or changing, or it's the same thing over there, like versus when you do by yourself?
Like the type of content I do for Beyond the Brick or
Yeah,
my
like
own
your
content?
language, like your behavior, your composure. Does that change like when you're on, or if you're like on Dan's podcast or something
Sure.
like that,
Yeah.
know? So like how do you find yourself shifting between the two?
So that's kind of been interesting to learn as my audience kind of pivots from one thing to the next to the next. So for Beyond the Brick, I have seen families and just people in general still go up to the handlings and say, my kids love your videos, whatever. And although that's not the intended audience, it's still something to be aware of. And because my name is attached to it, I cannot control, as much as I may say, hey, this is a totally different thing. If my name is attached to it to some degree, I, as a creator and as a role model to a lot of these kids, I have to be cognizant of that.
Yeah.
And I can't, if I start going off the deep end, there is no definitive way I can guarantee, unless it's an in real life event where I take like whatever, there's no way to guarantee. So, and I don't feel stunted by that at all on Beyond the Brick, on Dan's podcast, anything like that. I am totally 100% okay with that. I adapt to it and it's totally fine.
That's great.
On the Between the Bricks podcast, it does get a little raunchy and I'll just sit there and I'm like, or I'll add a little comment or something, but I won't go to that length because this is what I want to do. This is how I want to present myself and I'm okay with that. And, that's how it is,
That's totally fair.
Even in dance content, like, or on Between the Bricks, like, you handle yourself pretty well with censorship and what you're trying to convey for more of a mature audience. Like,
It's like watching Looney Tunes.
exactly. Not only that, but it's like when you watch like a movie that's intended for children or family.
Like Shrek or
Yeah.
something.
Yeah, like Shrek, and like only
Yeah.
like,
You get the
adults
adult
will
humor.
understand. Like that's, I think you've nailed that to a T.
And you know what?
Yeah.
The beauty of that I have found, and I hope that I haven't been around as Brikx O'Brien long enough to see it happen, but it's good that you bring that up because when you watch Shrek as a kid, you're like, oh, this is great, whatever. And then you grow up and you're like, this is still pretty good. So I'm hoping that the kids who watch me one day and the parents that, watch it's literally a whole family event. Right. I've had literal families of the kids, the parents, and the grandparents all be excited to meet me. Like it's happened. So
that's awesome.
If there comes a day where they're like, I don't want to watch this Brian guy anymore, but then you come back to it, you can hopefully look back at what I do and you're like, actually, this isn't too bad. I like this. And then maybe I'm still streaming. Maybe I'm doing this thing or that thing. And you want to follow along with me for the journey from that point on.
Generational.
That's what I look for. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Genius.
Because if you really think about it, like that's one of Lego's biggest issues right now. They did LegoCon to target that prime like age when kids go into their dark age, right? And so people come in and out of Lego, and that's something that they're trying to they don't want people going in and out. They want them to stay, hence like the 18+ line and that branding. And so you're kind of doing the same thing where you're like, I want to be, you don't want to become irrelevant. There doesn't want to be a Brikx O'Brien dark age, for your fans, which makes sense.
Yeah. And I think me having that approachability, like I've had people watch me when they're 10 years old and then grow up to, and like, they have a job and they're like, oh, I'm in the middle of work right now. Just wanted to say hi. And I'm like, hey, make sure you're killing it. You're doing a good job. One of the people who watched me, who has like a little brother and then it's a big sister, the sister's now getting married. And I'm like, you kidding me? I'm around for that long that my audience is getting married.
Yeah.
Hey, you're getting old, man.
Yeah, it's happening. The bald spot's getting bigger up here, man. I'm not happy, but it is what it is, I guess.
Adulting sucks.
Right there.
Yeah,
it is,
you know,
right
that's why I play Nintendo games. That kind of stemmed into me doing family friendly stuff too, because I'm naturally drawn to the worlds that you wouldn't be able to replicate in real life. Like I played my Call of Duty. I like the nice. I like
Yes.
you know, I play Call of Duty, Battlefield, and more violent games, God of War, of course, but this stuff is what always kept me inspired, and I love it. And it wouldn't really make sense for me to be cussing up a storm while playing a Kirby or a Mario game.
Yeah.
It just doesn't fit with the
That would
audience
be
that
awesome.
consumes it. It would be and there's totally an audience for that, but by and large, it's not.
It's not. Yeah.
It's not it. So that's how I kind of stuck with that family friendly and clean natured stuff too.
It's awesome. No, that's really, as somebody, I like in my professional world, it was not frowned upon to swear. It was like fine. You know what I mean? So it's like very, and a lot of professional worlds are like that too. So it's kind of funny to like put yourself on the internet and then you have to like reevaluate the way that you articulate yourself, especially like when you've had so much, professional experience. But the decision has to be made, right? Like if as a content creator, you have to decide what direction you're going to go in and how you're going to do it. And I think
the earlier that you do that, the better, because you establish your brand core values. And if you stray too far from that, then you start to blur the lines, and then your integrity might be compromised or whatever.
Right.
So like my community on Twitch, Discord, YouTube, whatever, it has to be relatively locked down and contained, because I do keep it family friendly and I facilitate a welcoming environment no matter who you are. So although I am down to have the more difficult conversations and talk about those sorts of things, my community, by and large, the Brikx O'Brien community, isn't the place to facilitate that behavior, but I'm willing to do it. So that's where I'm kind of finding myself now.
Yeah.
Like as Brian Saviano, I want to do more life talks or like whatever I want to do, but I don't think Brikx O'Brien is the way to do that.
No, you'd have to create a different brand or something along the lines.
And then again, if a kid finds me and I'm talking about, what happened over in Afghanistan, like, okay, well, that's where it all gets a little,
it gets muddy because but you have to pick and choose. And so for me, like it felt, because for so long I had like not done that, and it felt disingenuous. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
For my content to do that. Cause I found myself like on live streams, like articulating myself one way, and then in my videos doing something else. And like, there needs to be consistency with that stuff. And like maybe I don't swear like on my recorded videos, but it's cause I haven't had the need to yet. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, and I do agree that like using, there is like a time and place for that stuff. And I haven't found it. But it's very hard to like kind of define yourself. Like it's like when you're trying to, it's almost like easier to be like, I'm going to swear up a storm. I'm going to just like say the F word and like all these other words. And I'm going to make fun of everybody. I'm going to throw it out there so that like I can't be canceled, because I'm essentially canceling myself at all times. Like that's part of my brand. There's one way of doing that. And a lot of people on YouTube do that, right? Especially like, like not outside of layer content I'm talking about. And then there's like, and then there's the type of person that like you, where you're like, I'm going to do family friendly content. I've chosen this is the direction that I'm going, but I need to make it consistent along all platforms. And it's kind of hard. And there are other people who have done that. Like Emma Source is family friendly content. Like a lot of our friends are family. Like if I think about it now, like Ryan is intentionally not like family friendly content. You know what I mean? Like he is like very much catering to a specific demographic of Star Wars fans, which is a huge demographic. Right. And it's so it kind of continues like that. Anyway.
I like the way that you said that you challenge yourself too, because like whenever me and my friend, like we'd be writing raps and we would challenge ourselves too. Like, like anyone could write a rap with F this, F that, and F everything. Like write a rap with no cuss words. So we would always challenge ourselves in doing that. So.
And I am in my circle of friends, the funny guy. I love using humor as an icebreaker, and I've had enough deep-seated trauma in my life that I gotta make something of. I gotta. So if I use it that way, and like I could cuss up a storm and get the shock value, but that seems too easy. Let me articulate myself to be family friendly, but hide the joke into there. Like what I just did right there, like I said, I have enough trauma to be humorous. Like you wouldn't find that in a kid video. Like that's a little dark. But those who understand it are like, oh, okay, cool. And
That
then
would fly right over a kid's head. They're like, I don't even know what that means.
and then they'll rewatch it in 5 years and be like, he has trauma too. Oh, it's great. So
it's definitely a skill to have, and it's not easy to do. So I commend you for not only trying to do that, but successfully doing so.
Thank you.
Yes, I definitely don't do it.
Yeah, it's not for everybody. And what I found by being family friendly in a lot of ways, it opens you up to a lot more opportunities because you are more desirable by a brand, right? Because they know what they're going to get. They know you're not going to fly off the handle or do whatever. They're not going to question what this guy's going to say. And then when it comes to events and whatnot, for example, I'm going to be at Brickfest Live actually Wednesday, this upcoming weekend and the weekend after, and I'm doing hosting on stage where I'm going to bring kids and families on stage for events and do whatever. If I were more raunchy, would I still have that opportunity on the table? Not necessarily. So you got to make that conscious decision if you want that to be a career path for you.
You would have to go after completely different opportunities. Like it would have to be something entirely different. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Which is interesting, and I don't think a lot of people in the Lego space have done that really yet.
No, and that's why I keep myself open for the gaming realm, because as much as I love Lego and my roots and the community are in Lego and I love it and I love a lot of the people that are in it, when you compare that to the influencer management and the industry that is gaming and what can spawn off of that, there's just way more that can happen. And Lego is a very refined, relatively niche hobby compared to a lot of other things. So that's where my focus is there. Like I'll do the Lego content for Beyond the Brick. I'll talk about stuff on the stream here and there. But I think for me, having that as the focus, it pigeonholes me a little bit too much. And then I become the Lego guy where it's like, no, I can do a lot more than that. Let me show you. And that's how I do it.
Exactly. Like, I mean, I don't even think of you strictly. I think of you more as a gamer than I do Lego.
Yeah, same.
Yeah. I don't.
But you can see, I have a brick built Pikachu EV 3D printed. Like I'm clearly from the community, and I know plenty of the creators in there. But I'm not a Lego creator.
No,
which is why
you're still relevant, right? You're still relevant in the adult AFOL community. I know when people still know who you are. They still appreciate it, and you still are up to date. You still stay on top of the news. And I don't know if it's because you're part of the community or it's because it's still an interest of yours.
It's a little bit of both. I mean, I'll say by and large, a lot of the stuff that Lego comes out with, I'm like, this is cool, not for me, but I still respect what it is. And being on Beyond the Brick, where for a fact there's going to be someone from Denmark monitoring that stream, making sure things are looking good because they have a good relationship with a lot of the designers. I got to present the information in a way that isn't just saying, oh, this Mario playset is stupid, where are the minifigures? Like, I'm not going to say that. I'm going to try to see the bright side of things, and I'm going to try to see the bright side of everything without fluffing it up too much. I've said sets are awful and I just whatever before, but there's a certain way to go about doing that without saying this designer did an awful job. You should be ashamed. You shouldn't say that. You can articulate yourself more than that when you're doing your content.
It's more helpful to give them corrective criticism than to just trash them.
It's not only that, it's just showing that you're a professional.
Exactly.
That's what I'm trying to be. So there we go.
Pop the collar right there. Sheesh.
Yeah, exactly. But
unfortunately, though, sometimes a lot of people like to are more attracted to the drama of it.
Yeah.
So that gets more of the traffic on these spaces. When you start going that way, which is it's also still commendable to not try to go that way, because it feels like it's like you said earlier. It's just easy. Like it's very easy just to bleep this, bleep that, blah 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 blah, and then get the traffic that you would hope to get, as opposed to like censoring yourself, controlling yourself, and be a little bit more strategic and tactful with the how you articulate your words.
Yeah,
know?
and I think about this in a much more longer term than I feel a lot of the people in the Lego realm are doing content and whatnot. Because when I look back on the legacy of content that I've done, it's worked out so well for me numbers wise, but also when I see the reaction of people's faces that they don't care about the Lego community at all. These are just kids or families that watch me, and then there are people that'll drive hours out of their way to meet me at a show and say, "Hey, we really appreciate what you do. Thank you so much." Like all of that like means much more than some shock value that I'm going to get in the short term. And then who's to say by me doing these family friendly streams and playthrough videos that could unlock this and this and this. And then when you look at this long term, this career long thing, which all of this is still really, really new in terms of streaming and content, brand new compared to radio, television, and movies. When you look back, this could be, and hopefully, the path that I'll look at and say, hey, this is where I got my start. This is where things came from, and it worked out for me. You can do it too, and people are going to value that in a longer term.
Wait, Shy's on mute. Hello?
Yeah, my bad. I was going to say exactly. That's what I was going to say. It's smart. Like you're being strategic and you're thinking ahead. That's a very mature thing to do instead of looking you're not really looking at the light at the end of the tunnel. You're looking beyond that.
It's also it's low risk in like the smart way. Do you know what I mean? It's already high risk that you're like doing this as like a profession, obviously. You know what I mean? Like numbers wise, it is a difficult thing to get into, but it's a low risk. You're investing in yourself in a safer way, I think. You know? Yeah.
And I've reached a point right now, you may look at me and you're like, well, Brian, you have 11,000 YouTube subscribers. What are you talking about? But the amount of impact that I've had on people, that the way that I've been able to make people feel and bring enjoyment to their lives, not just kids, but the families and the teenagers and the everybody, that is enough for me to realize like, okay, I'm a single guy with no mortgage, no kids, no car payment, no incredible debt. Let me make this work for as long as I can, because I know that people love this and I can do it. I believe in myself enough. I have to push myself. I have to I have to realize my potential. And if I don't, just like everybody else, like if you don't realize your fullest potential, then you're leaving it on the table, and you can do better for yourself. The world can do better for that. So why not try to do it and make it happen?
Always be like, oh, what if? Yeah, if you like don't push yourself completely, you'll be like, well, and then you pull back one day and you're like, yeah, maybe if I like had, done that extra stream or done that extra video or something like that, or taken that, reached out to that one, person, networked a little bit better, or whatever it was. Yeah, it's really hard. I mean, like, at what point though, like right now you're fulfilled by the reaction and like the community that you've built and the people, but there's going to come a point where that's not going to be enough.
Sure.
And it's like, I wish that was enough. Do you know what I mean? And as someone who's like, 10 years older than you, I would say that like around 31, 32, I think is where it really starts to hit. You're like, okay, like my dreams and like making an impact and all that stuff is really important, but like, I can't do what I want when I want, things like that. True. Right. And so like, what's really hard about it is like, when do you make that call? And like, I don't know. I'm not telling you, I'm not trying to give you advice here. Like, I know it might sound like I am. I'm not. I'm just telling you that like, there's this moment where you either like push through that feeling, or you're like, okay, I'm going to go and do something a bit more traditional. I don't know. Shy, like, what do you guys think? Like,
No. I totally agree. Like for a very long time, like I went, like my career path, going from school, I intended to go the creative route, like going to film and all that kind of stuff. That was my intent. And then reality struck, and then I went the military route, and then I decided to think more professionally, trying to be pre-law and all that kind of stuff. And ultimately, I just wasn't happy with that. So I wasted 4 years of college trying to do something that I wasn't happy about. And then going forward, and that's the reason why I stayed with the company I did before, was just because it allowed me the freedom and allowed me the income to be able to pursue things that I just wanted to do on the side, which at the time was my motorcycle club, was to, find a legacy of some sort. And then, it did slap me in the face when I had children. And I'm like, okay, I need to.
That's the thing.
Okay, so that I got to provide. So then with that coming around, I'm like, okay, I need to lock down like a dwelling that's not rent. So being able to get a house, and then literally slapping the adulting in 100-fold in like 1 year. And then at that point, I was trying to figure out what I should be doing with my life. So like at 30, I was just like, okay, I need to do something. Like I need to do something that makes me happy. And I tried doing that, and it didn't work. And now I'm at a point now where I find myself that just time, which goes back into the channel name and what I've been calling myself for over a decade, SHYtimeisMytime. Like my time is the most valued thing that I can ever appreciate and keep, because right now my time isn't just my time anymore. It's my family's time, it's my kids' time. So I found myself to kind of like, I have to do things, but I have to do things that allow me the freedom to be able to do what I want creatively, since that's in a profession that I'm no longer in. I can't be creative at this point, because if I were to just drop everything, leave, it's a huge risk. It's a huge risk that I can do.
So it is like, I mean, Brian, you kind of said it. You're like, you don't have a family. You don't have a mortgage right now. This is the time to do this, because like, I don't know if you do want to have those things, you don't have to, but like, if you don't want to have, more traditional family and stuff like that. Yeah. I think the stresses come, and they come in heavy, and they come in fast.
I mean, it's not to say he can't have a family.
Of course not.
He's just riding the wave right now,
And you should keep riding the wave. And it's like, it's kind of like people are always like, oh, just like appreciate it while you're young and blah, 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 blah. But it is that. It's like, and it seems like you are. It seems like you're very like conscious. You're like, this is my opportunity to do this and push myself as hard as I can and work the crazy hours, because like Shy is saying, like your time is valued differently right now. It is your time. Your time is singularly yours. And like, and even like just like being in a relationship, it's no longer just yours, and it's like it's compounding. And it's like, in my head, I used to always think, I'm like, the easiest time in your life is like when you're single and the only person you have to think about is yourself, and it's awesome. It's great.
Freedom.
And yeah, and it's like, and you, that's like, and I think a lot of people like, so for me, that time, like when I was your age, like what I was doing was studying. I was studying like crazy, like super heads down. And I was like, I need to invest in my career, which is what you're doing now. You know what I mean? You're like investing your time in your career. I wasn't making any money. I was obviously in graduate school or whatever. And it was like, it came around so that now I can take the time and like, exercise these other activities and stuff like that. But your values kind of like change over time. It's really interesting. I'm just like thinking back now, like when I was 22, I just like wanted to travel and like party and like do whatever, like COVID would have been a disaster for me at 22. And then like, like it came at the perfect time. I'm just like at home doing my Lego and making my videos and my friends are online. It's great.
Knock it down. I don't care.
Yeah, exactly.
I think,
but anyway, keep going. Sorry, I was like on a soapbox.
That's okay. The word that comes to mind when I think about the day that, and trust me, I want the wife, the white picket fence, the 3 kids, and the big house. That is absolutely, I want a family super badly, but these dating apps aren't doing me any favors. My e-clout doesn't carry over. I'm like, what's the deal? But as much as I want that, there is a level of sacrifice that comes when those things come through.
Exactly.
And right now, I know that since I don't have those focuses in my life, when I find the right person to settle down with, when I find the right opportunity to have kids and do whatever, I know because it'll feel right, then I'll be willing to make those sacrifices and adapt to my strategy or otherwise. Now, that's not to say that I shouldn't have my life together until that point. I should, because that's what makes for a good man, is having that responsibility and putting that all together to align yourself for a good future. But what exactly does that look like? How does that happen? And I know that my skill as somebody who talks into a microphone, into a camera, on stage, on whatever, I know that I have it. I've had enough people that aren't my grandmother and my mother tell me I have it. So why wouldn't I? Right. Yeah. Why wouldn't I keep going and keep trying to do it? And then who knows? Right now, with the career path that I have and the industry that we are all relatively in, there's no ceiling. It's
Mhm.
limitless right now, and it's still growing. You would have thought, 5 years ago, how would any of these YouTubers have toys in Target? That seems ridiculous.
Oh,
And
yeah.
now kids buy them in Target.
Mhm.
So
5 years ago, I don't even think people were getting paid off YouTube. I was
No,
like,
they were.
I
I
wasn't
know.
even thinking about YouTube.
They were.
Not to
Yeah.
this extent.
and Twitch streaming is at that forefront as well, and how all
Mhm.
that is shifting is so interesting. And I know that I don't know how much more time we have,
No,
but
we a little bit. We can go.
okay.
Yeah.
With Twitch streaming and whatnot, that audience is more so for older teens, adults. There's not a lot of desire for family friendly content. So even actually recently, I've kind of looked at myself and been like, well, why am I on Twitch? Because if I'm catering to family friendly, there aren't a lot. Like when you go into a Minecraft the category and then you
Mhm.
tick the box for family friendly, there's 5 people. So I don't think there's a lot of desire for that content there. It is on YouTube. So why am I on Twitch? It's like,
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean,
do you
Interesting.
think you're gonna make that shift back
Yeah.
over and like game on YouTube then?
that would make a lot of sense for me in 2 ways. One, business wise, because
Mhm.
more discoverability on YouTube compared to Twitch. And
Mhm.
I have 11,000 YouTube subscribers, and pulling people from YouTube to Twitch, especially younger people who need to ask their mom for an account, is like pulling teeth. And I'm like, literally, just sign up for the website. You don't have to say anything. Just follow me, please. It's like pulling teeth. And it is for even the larger creators. Even when you have the people that are on TikTok promoting their Twitch and whatnot, this person has 5,000 likes and who knows how many views. You go to their Twitch and they have 100 people following. And it's like, oh, man, really? Like,
Yeah,
it's
people don't.
so difficult.
Yeah.
They don't
Yeah.
click that link.
They
No.
Twitch
just
is
don't.
Twitch is a hard platform. It is
Yeah.
a
Definitely.
difficult platform to
I
grow.
also I realized a lot of people are like, I don't have Twitch. I'm not going to download Twitch.
Yeah.
Like stuff like
Mhm.
that.
Yeah, and
More
that
work.
that bar to entry is enough for most people to not want to do it.
Mhm.
And especially the way that YouTube and Twitch are, rather Google and Amazon are working to make discoverability happen, and how viewers actually see the content, where in more recent times these multi-million-dollar deals are going to people being signed to YouTube,
Exactly.
and they're facilitating more of a culture, and there's better discoverability for small to mid-sized creators like all of us. So looking at Twitch, where they really favor the person who has 50,000 views at one point, why would it make sense for someone like me to be on Twitch when it's not benefiting me in multiple aspects,
Can you do both? Like, why do you have to do one over the other?
So Twitch's affiliate agreement states that you have to stream exclusively on their platform. YouTube, you don't have to do that. Facebook, you don't have to do that, which it kind of shows how Twitch wants its creators as well. Like, okay, well, we don't want to share you with anyone else. You're bound by us. And, their monetization options are nowhere near as vast as YouTube.
Mhm.
When you look at the subscription, if someone subscribes to you on Amazon Prime or a regular sub, you get half of the money as an affiliate. Most partners get half of that money. And then you're
Mhm.
being taxed on that. So you're getting like a third of that money. That's not smart for business. It's just not. So why would smaller creators let Twitch take half the money? Like, come on.
It's hard.
You're muted, Shy.
Sorry, I keep muting myself because my kids keep running around.
It's all good.
Part of life. Now I forgot what I was gonna say. I didn't even know that I did not know that they took half.
They take half.
Mhm.
And unless
Holy
you have a
crap.
special contract or you talk to a
Unless your
Twitch
partner
rep,
and stuff. Yeah.
and even then partners, a lot of
Mhm.
them have a tough time.
I mean, I've been watching some of the extremely large gamer YouTubers stream, and I'm just watching them and watching their chat. They can't even acknowledge the
Yep.
amount of not only people, but the super chats, the members that come up. They have so much money being made in 5 minutes that they can't even give the time. It's not even possible. So to get to that level though is extremely hard, but the probability of getting to that level is way higher redundancy is vast as opposed to Twitch is what you're saying.
Right, absolutely. So the way that it works on Twitch, if you have a higher view count, they'll put you higher on whatever thing they do. This algorithm, and we all know the YouTube algorithm, how they work and whatnot. And there's a lot of discussion when it comes to the streaming aspect of YouTube gaming compared to Twitch, where the thing that keeps Twitch behind, or rather, what keeps YouTube behind, is the interface for live video, where it's a little bit like you see the times that people are chatting at. You don't really need to see that. Like, the profile pictures, you don't see them on Twitch. You don't really need to see that sort of stuff. Not only that, but there's a specific culture on Twitch that a lot of these streamers have developed just by it being the internet. Let it run loose. And yeah, they can't talk to everyone, but the chat just kind of goes with itself and they vibe, and they're hoping that translates over to YouTube. I know that sometimes I know a lot of the people in my chat, and I know more about them than probably most creators know about a lot of their audience. But sometimes when they're pushing back at me, I'm like, all right, chat. And it's just this blob of just like people that are looking to poke me and just bug me. And I'm like, ah. So that sort of thing hasn't moved over to YouTube as much, but that's what Twitch has fostered in the past couple of years. And that's how they get that culture there, is with these bigger streamers collaborating with each other, tweaking things a little bit and making that happen. You're muted again.
I was thinking in my mind, like, I'm not. Do you think YouTube would ever catch up to Twitch's
Absolutely.
interfaces? Yeah. So how long do you think that probably would happen?
There's a lot of people that have commented on it that are a lot smarter than me and have degrees, or they've made millions of dollars and they talk about it. But in terms of shifting the culture, that takes a little bit of time. But because it's growing so much and so quickly, COVID did a lot to help Twitch get their numbers up and all of that stuff. People are more aware of it now than ever. I could see it within the next 2 to 3 years, because regardless of what you think of YouTube and live and all that, they have Google and they have YouTube. The video on demand content is massive. And for Amazon, Twitch does not make boatloads of money. They are a something that was purchased by Amazon for another business purpose, but the amount of love and care that needs to go into it to make things more discoverable and a better platform, it doesn't seem like they're putting the resources where they need to in terms of discoverability and whatever. What you're noticing with YouTube is you have YouTube videos, you have YouTube Shorts and Live. And the way it works is all of it feeds into each other and helps grow. Twitch, you just have the stream. And when it's off, it's off. Normally, people don't go back and watch them. So what else can you do to foster your community and grow it if you're a small to mid-sized streamer? Nothing. And
unless
a lot
you're
of Twitch
you're not recommended. Yeah. It's
exactly. And if a lot of Twitch streamers, and this is a philosophy I wanted to push back on for a while, when you're Twitch streaming, most people that are full-time and want to make it full-time, they'll stream 6 to 7 hours a day and they do nothing else. And if you don't stream, you're not making money, and you need to keep that momentum because that Twitch audience demands it. And if you're not there, they're watching someone else, and there is no monetization or otherwise. So
that sounds like an Uber driver.
Yeah, it kind of is. And not only that, but to be good at what you're doing, you need to have the energy. You need to bring it. You need to be on a decent night's sleep, not over caffeinated, not miserable. That seems miserable streaming Mario Kart for 7 hours a day. Like,
see, so that kind of puts something in perspective. Okay, so you have these two big powerhouses as far as business is concerned, companies.
Sure.
You have Google and you have Amazon, right? Both practices as far as how they treat their employees and what they believe in is definitely shown in exactly what you just said. Google promotes their employees' well-being, and the key to them is sharing of information.
Yeah.
That's literally what they hype themselves on, and that's their mission in life, is to be able to share you to someone on the other side of the world as quickly as possible with as much information as possible. Whereas Amazon, it's about business and structure, how to make the most out of you as much as possible in regards to the person.
Yes.
And it's very interesting to hear that.
Right. And Google has built for many, many years that Amazon just never touched, is this sophisticated ad platform and this ability to invest the resources that they need to. And a lot of things fail. Google Plus, of course, one of them, and they'll pull the plug on it. And YouTube isn't overwhelmingly profitable for them with all the things that they deal with, but because it has such a cultural impact, and imagine without YouTube, if they pulled the plug, forget about it. Google would lose its relevancy a lot. So there could be a day where Amazon is like, we kind of got everything that we wanted out of this. And there's a big red flag when a lot of the higher ups end up leaving. A lot of people have left recently. There isn't as much of a connection with the streamers and the community like they're fostering on YouTube. There could be a day where Amazon's just like, we don't feel like dealing with this anymore. See ya. And then what happens then?
I mean, it's a part of their culture to be like that. It's you got to look at the end, like who's running these platforms, and like I just said before, Google really fosters like the people who invest into them as far as work and effort, as opposed to in Amazon, especially recently with what's been going on with them within this past year of COVID and pushback by employees. Like is that like who you want to like fall under is when your income depends on,
Now the thing with Amazon though is they are the definition of Hydra. There's so many tendrils and so many heads and so many things. It's incredible. Like they can do whatever they want to, and that stock price is gonna go up.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And I think it's even still now early stages of a lot of what they have planned, because they could get into automation with robots and drones and vehicles and whatever. This is straying way beyond Lego, but like
it's relevant.
It's cool on this podcast.
Yeah. So it's really a battle of two giants, and Amazon as a company can compare to Google in a lot of ways, monetization wise, and their different aspects of the business. But when it comes to live streaming specifically, YouTube is stacking the deck very quickly, and Twitch may not have the infrastructure or desire to grow and adapt to what they would need to be the leader in live streaming, because people know YouTube. Lots of parents know YouTube. Grandparents know YouTube. They don't know what Twitch is. It's scary.
See, that's so crazy, because it's the same thing with like music, because SoundCloud, like everyone's like, oh, put your music on SoundCloud. But if you ask someone, like if someone catches me like rapping something, like, oh, do you make music? I'm like, oh yeah, I have a SoundCloud. And like, do you have a YouTube?
Yeah.
Oh no, I have a SoundCloud. I'm like, oh, I don't have a SoundCloud. It's just the same thing, They're like, they're not going to download a different app. So yeah, I feel that YouTube is like,
yeah, way to bring it back.
And I mean, there's one, you can look at it one way or the other, and it depends on how you want to run your community, and if it grows, how you want to run your business, and monetization options, and keeping it healthy. There's so many ways that you can go about doing it. And for me, it's looking at what are the best options for my audience. And a lot of these people that are Lego creators probably don't have a Facebook page, or they never update it. But parents like on Facebook. And you know what? If I weren't on there, I'm missing out on that,
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah. And so that is kind of the definition of what you're doing. You are doing multi-platform growth and considering all options. You're looking at the benefits of YouTube, looking at the benefits of Twitch. Look, I don't even know if you're on TikTok or
I am. Yeah, I'm not
Instagram,
great, but
but you have to be. And I think when you do social media, and someone told me this, I think it was Brenda from Art and Jess, when she like kind of went over and was like doing art. It's like you need to do the Patreon, do everything, have these multi sources of income streams, so that when one withers, you still have another one coming in. And some are passive, some are active, like Twitch versus YouTube, and you're basically diversifying your content. And it's like, if you make a short on YouTube, put it on Twitch, put it on TikTok, put it on Instagram Reels, grab all those audiences, make sure to constantly link yourself. We use Linktree, like kind of like that, like going full, you're like basically working in a circle at all times.
Yes.
And it's like, it's exhausting, but it's also like, It feels very productive. It's like you take a product, you take something that you've executed, and you manipulate it for the different platforms. And that's probably the most efficient way of using your content.
And I feel like a lot of Lego creators don't effectively do it the way that they could. And when there's a lot of things that I'm working on that do not pertain to Lego, that do not pertain to gaming.
Yeah.
But a lot of these different moves that creators are making and what I'm able to invest in myself, I'm doing things that literally no other Lego creator is doing, big and small. So the potential for what people can do on YouTube, I feel like a lot of people underestimate themselves and they don't realize their own potential. And then once you realize your potential and what you can do, your head will spin with ideas all the time. And then you'll be the crazy madman like me trying to make it all happen.
Nice.
But it's working, Brian. It's working. And it seems like in the short time that I've been watching you, just seeing that growth has been evident. And it's really nice to see that and, finally meet you in person at Brick Fair and bring you here, to like kind of hang out with us. And, but yeah.
I have one question though, before we close this out.
Absolutely not. I actually have to strike a multi-trillion-dollar deal real quick. I got
Game over. So I don't know if this is public knowledge yet, but are you more excited for Legends or the remakes of Diamond and Pearl?
The remakes.
Okay.
My favorite Pokemon is Piplup.
Piplup's getting a shine,
Yeah, in 6th grade, I had a Diamond, and that reignited my interest in Pokemon, and I think it's the best generation. Arceus looks super interesting, but I am all in on Brilliant Diamond, which happens a week before the 24-hour live stream on Beyond the Brick, which I will be co-hosting again. So that will be a week from the nether regions. I am looking forward to it, but yeah.
I just had to ask. That's Pokemon nerd stuff. I had to ask that.
I have no idea what that was.
It's okay. No, the house Pokemon fan just stuck his head in. He heard. But anyway, on that note, thank you, Brian. Thanks for joining us.
Welcome.
Really appreciate your time.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. And on that note,
roll that music.
Be easy.
Bye-bye.
Peace. Dude, thanks.
Thank you.
You just have him on another episode, just have him talking for a time.
No, it's my fault. We could have gone for like another hour. It's my fault because I technically am supposed to be streaming 15 minutes ago.